and underscoring those ambitions to be a powerhouse in the region, for the kingdom, you also have ambitions to supply the EU with 50% of its needs of electricity. So where do the priorities lie? Do these two agendas contradict somehow? Does one extract from the other? Does focusing on exporting energy to the EU, the investments that it takes to get there, take away from the developmental project?
No, I don't think there is. First, there is no ambition to export to anyone. I mean, you need to have an offtake contract with a pricing and a timeline to export, and you need to have that also to finance the infrastructure that will enable you to export. So for now, what we are talking about is a transition into making Morocco become, sorry for the very simplistic definition, an electrostate. Why? Because we have the institutions in place to do that. We have the infrastructure in place to be the only corridor at the end of the day linking Africa, Europe, and the Atlantic Basin. And the whole point here, I think it's very important to realize that for the world to thrive in the longer term, Africa is a key solution. And I still remember the energy minister of Ukraine last week in the IEA energy security ministerial meeting saying, if Europe is serious about its energy security, which is an important part of its security, it has to invest in vertical corridors. A vertical corridor goes to North Africa, and in North Africa you have Morocco being the only African country today interconnected electricity-wise and gas-wise with Europe and the Atlantic Basin through our ports as well. It's very important that we continue building the case for having the economies of scale to target, well, first and foremost, the Moroccan market, but also international markets for our green electrons, our green molecules, and our green metals and minerals, so that we decrease the costs of energy, primarily electricity, primarily for our citizens, primarily for the economic. It's the same story that happened in, let's say, Saudi Arabia or Qatar, when these countries that you know very well, Siba, have invested massively in oil or gas to decrease the cost of their energy, to primarily for their citizens, therefore the economic and social tissue of their countries. So the same story is happening today. You will have, going forward, few countries. I think you need a couple of conditions for that to happen, but we can talk about that later, especially on the technology front. But you have a few countries in the world that can actually emerge as the future electrostate for the world. But before we reach that, I think some of, as I tell my European counterparts, it takes two to tango. Yeah. So very concretely, if you want to have access to green electrons, green molecules, but more importantly, secure and stable, Morocco has demonstrated over 14 centuries, it is the second longest monarchy in the world, that sanctity of contracts is very important. So for us, having that stability is very important for the energy sector. If the world is serious about its energy security and its energy sustainability.